have been in business now almost 4 years. So today I thought it was a perfect opportunity to share with you my journey, how the ball started rolling, what's gone right, and where it all led to. So I'm Rachel Farnsworth from Wellness with Rachel, and I trained in advanced hypnotherapy methods in June 2018. And I'd really got no idea why I was doing that. It's just something that spoke to me, something that I felt called to do. It sort of lit me up like nothing else ever had. And I was going through a rough time in my personal life. My children had decided to move out of my home to go and live with their dad because I was in an emotional abusive relationship pattern that I hadn't actually recognised as what it was. And so I got some time. I've been working in a school. I've been doing all the things, focusing on being a mum. And when they decided to leave, the bottom of my world felt like it'd fallen away. I just didn't know who I was if I wasn't a full-time mum, working my hours in school so that I was home when they were. But it was actually a blessing in disguise that I hadn't realised. And in October 2018, my daughter had a flare-up of an autoimmune disease, and she'd been diagnosed with this autoimmune disease, juvenile idiopathic arthritis, when she was a year old, 18 months. And we'd been doing all the things that we thought we'd got to, like going to the hospital, taking medication, watching her self-inject and throw up every weekend. We were doing all this stuff, going to hospital, regular blood tests, regular tests, steroid injections, all that stuff. And we'd done that for 14 years. And it's quite interesting that this all really synchronised together, because in June 2018 I trained and qualified, and in October my daughter has this flare-up. And I hadn't really got any plans of what I was going to do with this advanced hypnotherapy certificate apart from file it. But my daughter needed me, and I didn't know that I could help her, but I thought it was worth a go because we've been doing all that stuff and we couldn't face that again. So she'd been on methotrexate, which is a drug they use in cancer treatment as well, to suppress the immune system. And by doing that, it meant that her joints weren't swollen, because she had juvenile idiopathic arthritis. So she'd come off the drugs because she'd been in drug-induced remission for 2 years. So they thought she may have outgrown it. So they said, well, the only way we're going to know is if she comes off the drugs. So we were really excited and thought that maybe she'd outgrown the disease. But the thing was she hadn't, and 8 weeks of not taking the drugs, she got a flare-up again. Her left knee became really painful and swollen, and they said that she'd have to go back on the drugs, maybe might even need stronger drugs this time. And we'd just seen what normal life was like. We'd had 8 weeks of not taking anything. She'd been able to go out at weekends. She'd got more of a memory back, and it was just lovely to see her flourish again. So I decided that it was worth having a session with her. I knew that other people had had amazing results using hypnotherapy, working with physical conditions, but I wasn't them. That was my stumbling block. I wasn't them. I could see how it would work with anxiety and things like that by getting to the emotional root cause, but I hadn't linked the two together, that there is actually a link between physical and emotional pain. And I'm actually writing a book about that called Decoding the Body's Messages, because the body is the link between the subconscious and conscious mind. So we were having that session, and in that session, and it did just take one session. We were expecting to do like 50. It took one, and it wasn't the best session I've ever done. It was like step 1, relax the client. Step 2, go to the root cause of why it's there, that kind of thing. But it doesn't matter because it worked. And she was able to release that in that session, and she felt her joints come back into place. She was like doing this while she was laying on the bed with her eyes closed, just talking to me. And she was doing this, and I said, what are you doing? And she said, oh, my joints are clicking back into place. So then we went to the hospital to have CT scans to check to see whether she needed a steroid injection and what medication she needed, only to find out that they couldn't find any joints that were swollen. They said that she'd outgrown the disease. But how do you outgrow it when you're in the middle of a flare-up? That's the question, isn't it? So I know that this worked, and my daughter knows that this worked. And then that was the, oh wow, we've been doing all the things that we thought we're supposed to do, and now we know that the answer isn't what we were doing. The answer is in our subconscious mind. So that was my, I've got to tell the world that this is what's really going on. And then over time, very shortly after I'd worked with my daughter, I had other clients came to me. One of the first ones was a psoriasis client, and he released that in a single session. That was all about anger. He was able to release it. And 2 weeks later, his skin is so much better. And then the photos of that are on my website as well. I work with a client with post-traumatic stress who've been suffering for years with that. And at the end of my first session, and only session we've ever worked together with, she was able to go shopping on her own, and something she hadn't done for 5 years, and she'd been and not with her husband for 2 years. Okay, so she went shopping on her own to get a birthday card, and then she became a landscape gardener very shortly afterwards as well, being self-employed. She's got her life back, and that's wonderful. There was a lung condition that I worked with who felt that she could breathe easily straight after. Anxiety, depression, all with amazing results. So that kept propelling me forward of like, this is where I need to be. This is amazing. But while I was doing the training, I realised that I was in emotionally abusive relationships. That was such an aha moment. I was actually watching training videos at work at my lunch hour, and it was a recorded session about somebody about addictions, but it wasn't about what it was about. It was about her events that she went back to, because we go back to the root cause using guided meditation really to take you back to where you need to be, going to that root cause of how, when and where it all began. And it's like a daydream that you just come up in your mind. Oh, I'm just thinking of this, and we just talk about that, but it's not what happened. It's the emotions that you've attached to it. So she was going back to those scenes, and I was like, oh, that could be me. I related to her. I understood what she was going through. And then I heard the trainer talking about emotional abuse, narcissistic personality. It's like, oh, I thought I just needed a bit of confidence. I didn't realise it was because of emotional abuse that I'd lost my confidence. That was a big aha moment. And then I needed like a big wake-up call, like I've been slapped actually, because I then knew that I got to do something about it. I was in that emotional abusive marriage, and I knew I had to take steps in order to do something to remove myself from it, but not just that, but to heal from it, because I knew the message was getting louder. So I was scared to date again in case the next one was going to be violently abusive as well. And I didn't want to be a Catwoman for the rest of my life. I felt too young to do that. So I needed to have, unfortunately, I got the solution before I knew I had the problem. So I had somebody else work with me using the same method that I use to help me release it. And I have now, and it's amazing. So I'll tell you more about that too. And I left my last emotionally abusive relationship in August 2019, the day after my 50th birthday. My 50th birthday wasn't the best because I was packing boxes, but looking at it now, it was such a gift I gave myself to be able to start living properly, on purpose, with passion and conviction, and to stand in my own power and know what I want and what I don't want. And it's not selfish, it's necessary. It's a much more healthier whole energy that I feel now, rather than that wounded, people-pleasing, codependent me that I was. So that's really powerful too. So as things have changed for me, I've changed, and we're moving forward. And I then felt I was living in my own home. I was a single parent. And then 6 months later, I just decided to hand my notice in and do this full time, which was wonderful. I was so excited about it. But then lockdown hit 2 weeks later in March 2020. That gave me anxiety. That put me on the toilet, I won't lie. But I knew that I had to do this. I knew that getting another job somewhere else just wasn't, it just didn't light me up. It was just something I couldn't do. It was just, so I had to make this work. I had to just follow my inner guidance and go where I felt led to be. Doing podcasts and talking to people and going live on my Facebook group every week. That kind of thing is what I did. Go live on Facebook, just keep going. Every day I took action. Every single day I took action. I trained in Reiki very shortly after that as well, so that I could give distance Reiki to people. So if they didn't want to work with me using advanced hypnotherapy, I got an alternative. And that was really powerful as well. And I also use Reiki with my sessions. And I really believe that that is just that added ingredient that really helps to have that healing energy while we're doing the work is brilliant too. And around about that sort of time, I did an anxiety workshop. And I had to heal my trauma as well, because I got that, I couldn't stand up in public because it just wouldn't let me. I was like, I got an asthma attack. So every time I tried to stand up in public and talk, I couldn't breathe. It was just awful. No one wanted to listen to that, and certainly not me. It was quite hard work to try and get a breath and talk at the same time. So I had a session about what that was, and it took me back to being 5 years old at school and answering maths questions and feeling stupid because I got one question right but got the second one wrong, or I didn't really understand because I was just 5. I was looking for some coins to make some money up, and I was just 5, so I was looking for a 3p piece when actually you just need a combination of them because there is no such thing as a 3p coin. But I didn't know that when I was 5, and I've worked in the bank since then, so I've actually got over that. But still my subconscious mind was holding me back and going, oh no, you don't want to be standing up in public. Don't you remember when it was when you were 5 and it was so scary and you felt stupid and you just wanted to run away and never go back? So that's what your subconscious mind's doing. It's like, ooh, pulls you back to, it's like that wounded child who's got the brakes on and going, no, we're not doing that. We can't do that again. And I'm going to stop you by giving you all these symptoms. That's what's really going on. So the anxiety workshop was really good and I actually enjoyed it. I've gone live every week in my group talking about all kinds of different issues. I'm working with clients internationally, in America predominantly. It's beautiful, and I've got made some really lovely friends in America and Australia and India and all sorts of places. It's just wonderful to be able to do this, all by Zoom. I've become a co-author book in 2 books, about to be a 3rd book. I'm a co-author in The Power of Reinvention, Treasure, and Me Too But Never Again. And the Me Too Never Again is coming out in November this year. I'm really excited about that as well. It's talking about sexual abuse and how you don't have to carry that with you all the time. It's possible to heal it. It absolutely is. And I hadn't realised, this is what part of my story is going to be about, that I hadn't realised how much that sexual abuse that I went through when I was a teenager, how much that had impacted me. I thought just putting it in a box, pretending it didn't happen, and trying to move on with life was the way forward. But actually it was part of why I was going for emotionally abusive relationships, because I didn't feel good enough. I felt like I just needed the breadcrumbs from relationships, that I couldn't ask for help, that I couldn't meet my own needs. If I can't meet my own needs, how can anybody else? So I talk about that more in the book as well. And it's going to be some amazing, it's a co-author book, it's going to get translated into 13 different languages. It's going to be absolutely awesome and help people. That's the predominant reason why I'm doing it, to help people understand that they don't have to sort of put it in a box like I did. It is possible to heal it, and it doesn't have to take years and years and years either. When you get to the root and release the emotion from it, so that you can feel more indifferent to it, more calmer about it, knowing that because the thing is, our minds, it's all about the emotion. So it's when you release the emotion, the pull, the feel of it isn't impactful in any way, the same way that it is if you've gone through it and you've sort of, every time you think about it, it triggers you. It really doesn't have to going forward. And it really is amazing. You feel like you've got your life back again. What else have I done? I've healed the relationships in the past. I'm now in a wonderful, loving relationship for the first time in my life. It's gorgeous. I've moved house this year as well. I've released Anxious to Awesome beginning of this year as a live sessions. And then later on this year, I've done the self-study course so that people can access it using their acupuncture pressure points, and that's amazing. It's being described as EFT on steroids, tapping on steroids, because it really is very powerful. And so Anxious to Awesome is amazing. It's a self-study course so that you can keep using it as well going into the future. So you're future-proofing yourself. If you're feeling frustrated, you'll know how to release it. If you're feeling angry or grief or all that sort of stuff, you can release it without booking a therapist again, because you've got the tools to work through it, which is amazing. And then Sky TV, I'm on there regularly on Empowering Women TV. That's a regular slot. I'm so excited about that. Moved house 75 miles away from my hometown, becoming a co-author book, Me Too But Never Again. That's exciting. And I have just been asked a couple of days ago if I want to appear on Channel 4. So that's a yes. So if they'll have me, I'd love to do that. So that's something in the pipeline. I've been asked to take part in various magazine publications too, which is amazing. I'm really excited. I keep saying that, don't I? I'm really excited, but I am really excited. Doing lots of podcasts as well. So that's wonderful. I am really happy that all this is working out, and it only is because I've cleared the trauma that was locking me in to feeling anxious, to feeling the lack of confidence. If I could never have done this, if I was still thinking that I'm not good enough and I haven't got the confidence to do it, and all the stuff, the negative stuff. So when you clear that, life changes really quickly. This has just been 4 years. And so much has changed. It's not just one event, there's a load of stuff that keeps changing, and it's fab. And that can be you too. That's the point of why I'm talking about this, because if I can do it, you can as well. It's not exclusively it's not a secret ingredient. It can be your reality as well. I'm also trained in future life progression as well, so that we can go back into the past life and into the future. So we go back, clear old trauma right from the past lives, and then go into the future as well. So it's a softer way of dealing with trauma, rather than going back into your childhood or younger in your younger version of you now in this lifetime. We can go back into the past as well, and then take a wonderful look at the future in 5 years time, 10 years time, and even the ultimate future that you can do. This is really good. And I'm currently offering a fabulous price on that at the moment. So if you want to know more about that, then let me know. More than happy to share. As there's just 10 spaces I'm offering. I've got 2 left at the moment. So get in touch. that you might be lucky and have one of those for yourself as well. It's just 1 2-hour session, and it is really incredible what we can release in that time frame. I'm also a soul speak practitioner that I trained this year too, and that is really fab because Julia Cannon is the lady who has put Soul Speak together, and she talks about how our bodies are messaging devices and how there's just messages lying behind the presenting symptoms. So by using what she's taught me and also together with the information that I've got by working with clients and actually see it for myself, my book is going to be more about how I've helped people without naming them, but sort of instances that I've had and how it can help, because it is just messaging. It's things on your right side are about the right here, right now, something in the present moment, and on the left side it's something in the past. If it's in your arms or hands, it's about something you're holding on to that you should be letting go of, and in your body and your legs and feet, it's about not being able to move forward for something. Again, if it's on the right side, it's in the present moment, and on the left, it's something in the past. They're just two really simple explanations. There's far more, and that's what my book's going to be talking about, and how I've helped myself with shoulder pain, backache, all that sort of stuff too. So that's wonderful. And I'm also getting the things together to help people to train in the method that I use as well, adding more things to it so that it's going to be great, because the world needs to release trauma, and the more we can help other people release that trauma, the better it is for everybody. So I'm also work with Lee Clark, who is amazing. She's a soul blueprint girl who she actually helps people go to find their soul blueprint of who they really are. Okay, and by finding who you really are and where your power strengths are, what you're designed to be, what you're created to be, is really amazing. And then I help you release the trauma, go back into your past, and then launch you into the future, into where you need to be, because you can see yourself. It's not imagine that you're there, and it's fabulous. It really is. So that's something else called Stepping Into Your Power, and it's a wonderful program that Lee and I put together. So that is, in a nutshell, 4 years worth of work, and it doesn't feel like work. It's amazing, and it's just it lights me up so much. And when I look back and see how much life has changed and how it can for you as well, it absolutely can. When you release trauma, that feeling stuck, that feeling not enough, that feeling I can't connect to other people, I'm too different, and what I want isn't available. They're just stories. They're just old limiting beliefs that have been created because of the trauma that you've gone through. That's what that is. Release the trauma. And trauma is anything that made you feel bad about yourself. It doesn't have to be something really significant. It can be, obviously, if it is something significant, then that is trauma, such as sexual abuse, like I touched on before. But it can be a teacher at school telling you you're stupid over and over again. Because we can't, as kids, we can't question that. It's just, you think I'm stupid, I must be stupid. And then we wear that label for the rest of our lives. And that forms the belief that I'm not enough, I'm not clever enough, smart enough, whatever. And then more and more of that comes on. So then it decreases our sense of self-worth and makes us feel even more not enough. And so it all adds up. And then any time you go through the same kind of trauma, it's like a string of lights lighting up within you, so that you see it's true, and it all just sort of lights up and keeps repeating. So I really hope that's helpful, and I'm so excited about talking more in the future about my book, Me Too, But Never Again, about talking about the potential TV interview as well, which is great. I've actually got to go into the studio, and more about the articles that I'm going to be published into, as well as my book, Decoding the Body's Messages. So please stay tuned to find out more about that. If you've got any questions, please click on the link below. My Linktree link has got a load of stuff in there as well. There's some free things, such as a guided meditation recording. There's a couple of ebooks as well. There's lots of stuff that's free. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to helping you. If you've got a question, just email me at rachel@wellnesswithrachel.co.uk. I look forward to hearing from you. There's no such thing as a silly question, and it'd be great to contact you, to be in touch with you and find out more about you. So thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.